grab your Bible and a Diet Mountain Dew because it's time for the Brother Byron podcast. Listen in as Brother Byron brings you thought-provoking insights from his 30-plus years in the ministry. Now here's Brother Byron.
Hello, friends. This is Brother Byron with another Brother Byron podcast. And it is Friday, November the 1st, 2024. And it's good to be back with you. Can't believe it's November already. This year has absolutely flown by. It seems like it's just, this week has been a long week too. I'm glad it's finally Friday, and I'm looking forward to the weekend. I was able to take some time today to meet up with my good friend, Brother Jonathan Tharp. We had lunch together today, had some good Mexican food and some good fellowship, and it's always good to see him. We also discussed our next podcast that we're going to do together, and it's been, 3 weeks or so since we did our last one. But Lord willing, we're going to be able to do that next Saturday. Not this one, but next one. I believe it's November the 9th. If it all works out, if the Lord willing, we're going to try to do another podcast together. And I'm not going to give away the topic right now, but I guarantee if you like Brother Byron's podcast, you're going to really like that one. And looking forward to it. Well, it's only 4 days until the general election for president of the United States. There's 27 days until Thanksgiving. Can you believe that? 27 days. 54 days until Christmas. I hope you've got your Christmas shopping finished. I believe we've got most of ours ready. And then 61 days until the year 2025. Let me see if I can do that better than that. The year, let's see, I messed up that one. It's this one. The year 2025. Oh, anyway. Wow, this year has flown by. Speaking of the election, and that's really what I wanted to kind of talk about in this podcast, and probably the wrong thing to do, but it's time, I guess. But I've rarely mentioned really the election or anything. I did tell you the other day that we went to vote, early voting, got that over with. Early voting ended yesterday in Tennessee, October 31st, and hopefully our votes got counted and our ballots didn't get thrown away somewhere, dumped in a hole, or burned. They say it's a really close race right now, that they're kind of tied neck and neck with just a few points, maybe here or there, depending on what poll you look at, which news channel you look at, of who they think's winning. And of course, they've already discovered widespread fraud in this election. In Pennsylvania this week, they found 2,500 fraudulent voter applications. Wrong names. They had information wrong and all this. And they say that none of those got counted, but they were found. And then the ballot boxes that were burned in Oregon and Washington, that happened. And then you had the mailman, I don't remember what state it was in, it was throwing away all the mail. And in Michigan, there's a Chinese man, not a U.S. citizen, who got caught voting. And not only that, also in Michigan, they also discovered 160,000 excess ballots that were cast. They claim it's some kind of glitch in the system and that none of those actually made it to the count. They were found out before then, and all you right-wing conservatives trying to make this sound like something that it's not, you're wrong. Another crazy thing that's going on during this election season, if you keep up with this in the news at all, there are corporate media outlets who are they're trying to pressure YouTube to censor or shut down conservative talk shows or channels. You've got people on there, of course, Ben Shapiro is one. My mind's kind of failing me right now, but there's several conservative talk show hosts that have their platforms on YouTube, and these media companies, New York Times, Washington Post, they have teamed up with a company called Media Matters, which is a company that it was set out to shut down right-wing conservative news outlets. This started several years ago, and they're teamed up with them trying to pressure YouTube to take these channels down a week before the election. Oh, isn't that convenient for them? Of course, these conservative talk show hosts have just fired back at them. They're refusing to bow down, and so far, YouTube is declared they've not done anything against their rules, and they're not going to be shutting them down. Tucker Carlson, that's the other one I was trying to remember. Tucker Carlson. I do listen to these men. I listen to them. I listen to Dan Bongino and Charlie Kirk, and I can't remember Ted Cruz. I listen to him quite often. So, I do enjoy listening to them, and they're trying to shut those people up. They don't want that message out there. And so what are they doing? They're saying that they're spreading, and here's the key word, or the big, word they like to use, misinformation. Let's do it again. You ready? Misinformation. Yeah, that's what they're saying, that anyone that's conservative, they're spreading misinformation and need to be shut down. And that's become the new favorite word for left-leaning media this year. It's become one of my least favorite words. Sometimes there's certain words that start to be used, and they get so overused, you just get completely sick of them. Back in the 80s, the word awesome started being used. And I remember even at Gibbs in the marching band, we had T-shirts made, and the back of them had awesome printed on them. And at the time, it was awesome. But eventually that word awesome we got so tired of it, and nobody wanted to use it anymore. Nowadays it's used every now and then, but boy, back in the 80s, like 83, it was, that word was all the time coming off everybody's lips. And now this word misinformation is so ridiculous. It's overused, and ironically, it always feels like anytime it's used, it's the cover for untruths. They try to find something that is that's been brought out by someone that is a true statement, and then want to put the label of misinformation on it because they want to shut that down. They don't want anybody to hear that. The days of Walter Cronkite are gone. We used to watch him back when I was a kid. Came on the TV, and we would sit there. I remember my dad made a big deal out of it. We'd sit there and wait for old Walter to come on, and it was always just, he just told the news. He was sincere. He didn't interject his own ideas or political agenda or bias. All he did was give the news, and it was up to us to do with that news whatever we wanted to do. We made up our own mind about it. And that's the way news is supposed to happen, but that's not what happens today. So today's news outlets, they're so heavily influenced by liberal agendas. They prioritize narratives over facts. Whatever they need to do to push their agenda through, they're going to do it, whether they have to just bold-faced lie about it or not. And all too often, they seem willing to spread falsehoods, and they're the ones spreading the misinformation. And then they paint anyone who questions that or disproves them of that that they are the real source of deception or misinformation. It happens all the time, every day. But like I've said all along, no matter who ends up winning this presidential election that's coming up on next Tuesday, how many days? Wow. Today is the 1st. So yeah, the 5th, it's 4 more days away. Whoever wins that, God's still on the throne. God's not worried about it. And if he's not worried about it, I'm not worried about it. God's not worried about anything, never has and never will. And so all I do is put my faith and trust in him, and just whatever happens, happens. And we'll just leave it up to the Lord. And as I've told my church that I pastor, I am not going to use my time behind the pulpit to preach partisan politics. There was a time in my ministry several years ago when I would bring politics into the church and speak on them, and I would give them my ideas and opinions from behind the pulpit. And I'll just be the first one to tell you I was wrong to do that. I hurt people's feelings. It caused problems. We had people leave the church over it. And, it wasn't like I was doing it all the time. Just, 2-3 times I might have made mention of something. And I remember after 2016's race, and I made the statement on a Wednesday evening, we finally got our country back. And I believe that was the tipping point. Someone there that was against the candidate I voted for got outraged, and they left. So, I learned my lesson on that. I've prayed and I've asked forgiveness for the Lord to forgive me for that. And like I've told my church, I'm not going to be preaching politics from behind the pulpit. I was not called to do that. I was called to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ and him crucified. But the thing that bothers me, and it really does, is this common belief these days that if you're not voting for who I'm voting for, then we are enemies, that we have to hate each other because we're so diametrically opposed that we just have to hate each other. And that's what the media and the world wants us to think and believe. The media loves that division in our country. It makes for news for them, and so it's permeated our society today. That if you don't agree with me, then you hate me, and I hate you, and that is not true. That's not true at all. I know people who are voting for Kamala Harris, and they're good people. I love them. And, they have their reasons for wanting to do that. I don't agree with them. I think Kamala is quite possibly the worst presidential candidate to ever run for office. But that is my opinion. I have a right to that opinion. You have a right to your opinion. If you think she's going to make a fine president, then by all means vote for her. That is your right. And I respect that right. And I will fight tooth and nail for your rights to do that. But I expect the same in return. I expect for you to respect how I feel, what my thoughts are. I don't hate you because you don't vote for who I want to vote for or who I think's the best candidate. And sadly, I don't think that a lot of people on the other side, we're divided these days, aren't we? We got the left and the right. We've got the liberal and the conservative. There's very few moderates or middle of the road. You're either on one side or you're the other. And it seems like on the side opposite of the one that I am on, they don't think the same way. It seems they can't get over their hatred toward my way of thinking or other people that think the way I do or conservative and have Christian beliefs and values. They can't tolerate it. What was the term? I'm a very tolerant person. until you do something against me, until you don't like something I like, then I'm the most intolerant person you'll ever meet in your life. That's the attitude today. So I can't say the same about a lot of people that are opposite of me. Nowadays, if you let someone know that you're actually going to vote for Donald Trump, their TDS flares up. You know what TDS is, don't you? It's Trump derangement syndrome. And boy, it is real. It's a real thing. And they need to seek help for it. I believe they either need to take some kind of medication or get some kind of psychological help. But it is a real thing. Just the very mention of the man's name sets them off like something, I don't even know how to explain it. And now there's a new syndrome. It's EMS. You know what EMS is? Elon Musk Syndrome. That is a very real thing. You see, the liberals used to love Elon Musk back when all he was doing was producing Tesla cars and, talking about the electric vehicles. But when Elon Musk looked around and realized what was happening, especially in California where he was at, and what happened to his own son, how he was groomed, and now his son was changed, and the things that happened to him. And you can look that up on your own. I'm not going to talk about it on this podcast. But Elon Musk's eyes were opened, and he saw what was going on with the liberal agenda and the left-leaning people. And so he decided he was going to do everything that he could to make things right. And the first thing he did was buy Twitter so that he could give people a platform to be able to speak freely. Twitter was being used as a left-wing political machine. They were shutting down anything conservative. They were banning accounts of people just like Donald Trump. His account was closed on him because they hated him, because of their derangement syndrome. And so Elon Musk bought Twitter. Of course, he changed the name to X, but he made it to where free speech was, you could actually do that. Well, when that happened, then the liberal people went bananas. And then they started hating on him. And when he started backing Donald Trump for president, when he decided he was going to help him in his campaign and even donate millions of dollars toward his campaign, they absolutely went berserk. And so they now, they've been infected with EMS, Elon Musk Syndrome. And, it's real, it's sad. It's a sad thing that they cannot handle it. They can't, it's too much for them. And I don't understand that. For conservatives, for people like myself, people that are right leaning and vote that way, we just sit back and let it roll off. I mean, we absorb it. You can call us names. You can force your agendas down our throat. You can praise your heroes and celebrities and try to cram that down our throat. And all we do is just shake our heads back and forth and, feel sorry for you and wonder what in the world happened to you if somebody dropped you somewhere on your head somewhere. And we'll pray for you. We don't want to destroy you. We don't hate you. We just, we don't understand you, but we don't hate you. But I can't say the same for people that oppose us. They do hate us. They really do. And they want to shut us down. There's somebody right now that probably will hear this podcast, and they'll go crazy and they'll want it shut down. And they may claim misinformation and all that. And I've not said anything that's not true. Everything I've said has been the truth. And so, look, this podcast, it was just out there that needed to be done. I got it over with. It'll be my last political podcast probably until after the election. I may say something after that. Who knows? But that's not what this is about. Mainly, Brother Byron's podcast is to just bring you good things to help edify you and to, share good things, especially what the Lord has done for us and can do for us. And while it's not necessarily a preaching channel, I do talk a lot about preaching and pastoring and church things. But this also, this is part of our lives these days. Everywhere you turn, everywhere you look, everything you watch, there's something political in it. And we don't need that in the church. We don't need all the political stuff. There's enough of that in our life everywhere, all the other time. We don't need it in church. So I don't care who you vote for. You vote for who you want. That's your decision. You have that right. Even if you're wrong, it is your right to vote for whoever you want. And it is my right to vote for whoever I want. Now, I've already done it. I've already voted for who I wanted. But all I ask is for you to give me the same respect as I give you. The same rights that you want, I want. And so what's that saying? Are we really tolerant, or are we only tolerant up until you oppose me? Well, I don't know. That's for you to ponder. But until next time, I don't know. Let's see. We got Saturday coming up tomorrow. It's been raining here. I'm not going to be able to do anything outside, probably. It's going to be too wet. I've already mowed this week. I mowed on my lunch break yesterday and got that over with. So I don't know. Maybe I'll do a podcast tomorrow. We'll just have to stop and see. If the Lord will give me something to talk about, then we'll do that. But if not, until next time, this is Brother Byron, and I'm out.